Well, good morning and welcome to another Church for Men. It's great to have you with us today. I am really excited about the guest speaker that we have today. He's a good friend of mine. He currently hails from Dallas, Texas, but he is about to make a big move that I'm sure he'll probably share about here in a few minutes with us. But his name is Jacob Bartlow, and Jacob and I have known each other in the ministry for quite some years, and I just love hanging out with Jacob so much anytime that we have a roundup or anything like that at all. And so it's just a pleasure to have Jacob here on with us. He is a new father as well. And so many incredible things going on in Jacob's life right now. So I'll go ahead and pull him up here. So Jacob, great to have you with us. I'm so excited for today.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good stuff. All right. So Jacob is going to be talking about faith with us this morning. So Jacob, I will let you take it away. Go for it, bro.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen here and see if we can get that going. Can you see my screen there? Oh, I don't know. You know what? If not, it's not crucial, I guess.
If you actually try it now. I switched over to a screen share mode.
Oh, you know what? I think it's something on my settings here. You know what? We will go without the keynote. So that is all right. Well, again, good morning, guys. As Nate mentioned, we are just about a week away from moving to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And but I'm grateful to join you guys. Things have been a little crazy at our house, but excited to be with you, be able to speak with you a little bit this morning. And as we prepare to move, my mind has been filled with what ifs, right? And there are some uncertainties, maybe even some fears about moving to a new place, right? What if I don't connect well with the people there? What if my kids have a hard time with the transition? What if I'm not an LSU fan? How will people treat me there if I'm not a big LSU fan? And don't we all have some type of fears, right? We all have what ifs, right? What if I get laid off or have trouble financially? What if my spouse gets fed up with me? What if my kids turn out like me? What if? But I'm here to tell you this morning, brothers, fear says what if, but faith says even if. And if you got a Bible with you, go ahead and turn over to Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3. And before we jump into this passage, I want to give you a little bit of background on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And you may have heard of these three guys before. These are three Hebrew boys who were taken from their home and thrown into a dark, secular, godless world. And Babylon was, without a doubt, one of the most God-forsaken lands in the history of the world. And so they're taken from their homeland, enslaved as the king's servants. And it's safe to say their lives are not going as they planned. But they didn't allow their circumstances to water down their convictions. And so they rose up through the ranks. They became leaders there in Babylon. God gave them great knowledge and understanding, and with it, the ability to make a difference in that wicked nation. And even King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, found them 10 times better than any of the other wise men in Babylon. And so things are looking up for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But then a golden image is built. And so in Daniel chapter 3, verse 1, it says, King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. And, think about for a moment how much gold that really is. If you convert cubits to feet, you'll find this statue was about 9 feet wide and 90 feet tall. That is a lot of gold in this statue there. So the king builds this enormous gold image, and then he makes the following decree in chapter 3, verse 5. It says, "As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, and all kinds of music, all the nations and peoples of every language fell down and worshiped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And then in verse 12, it says the officials report to the king. They say, "But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." And so literally all nations, all people fall down and worship this image. And imagine how awkward that must have looked for these guys. Literally everyone else is bowing down and they're standing there alone. It takes great boldness and great faith to stand when everyone else is bowing down. And so first, this morning, I want to encourage you, hey, let's have the faith that even if everyone else bows down, man, we will stand firm. It reminds me when I was in 8th grade, my 8th grade algebra class, I fell asleep in class, and it was right after lunch, and maybe I just ate a little too heavy that day, but I passed out on my desk. And when I woke up, everyone else in the classroom was clapping. So I wake up and I start clapping too. And then I realize everyone else is looking at me. They were all clapping for me. So talk about embarrassing, right? But, it's in our nature to just go along with the crowd, right? I'm not sure why everyone else is clapping, but I don't want to be left out. So I'm going to start clapping too. In Romans chapter 12, verse 2 is probably a verse you've heard before, but it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." Think about it. What ways is the world trying to get us to conform? How about the things you watch or listen to? Maybe how you spend your money. What about your political views or how you express those political views? So easily we can get sucked into the way the world does things instead of trusting in how God wants us to do it. So, hey, even if everyone else is bowing down, even if everyone else is watching this show or everyone else is buying that new car or everyone else is just throwing their opinions on Facebook, will you stand firm? Think about this for a moment. There are probably other Jews that were brought to Babylon that gave into, were brought to Babylon from Israel that gave into the pressure. There were no doubt other men bowing down to this image that had come from Israel. However, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego decided they would not, right? Even if all these other Jews are giving in, we're not going to compromise on our convictions. Will you have unshakable faith, even if everyone else is settling for less? Let's read a little bit more here in chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, 'King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Did you catch it there? They said, even if, right? Even if God doesn't save us from the furnace, we will not bow down. Now, I want to get something straight here. I think there's no doubt in these guys' minds about what God can do, right? They say even if, but they're not in any way skeptical about God's ability to save. In fact, I think it's just the opposite. First, they say with confidence, right? God is able to save us, right? They know without a doubt they serve a powerful God. And I think sometimes we can be in a place of doubt about what God can really do in our lives, right? Sometimes we stay enslaved to sin so long, we no longer believe that God can save us from the sin we're addicted to. And then, second, they take it a step further. They say, not only can God save us, but they say, God will save us. We've got to start proclaiming with confidence what God will do in our lives. We need to start being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. And so, brothers, if you want to have faith to face the furnace, you got to know what God can do and proclaim what God will do in your life. I love this quote. It says, you only really discover the strength of your spine when your back is against the wall. And so, we've got to have faith, even if your will isn't God's will, right? The faith to stand firm, even if God has different plans. So what about you? How will you react under pressure, right? When it seems like God isn't listening, when it seems like his will for your life is unbearable, will you have unshakable faith, even if, right? Even if you're not doing well financially, even if you're having issues with your health, even if you just lost your job, even if nobody understands what you're going through, how will you react when God doesn't do what you want him to do? Well, again, for Shadrach, Meshach, and again, Abednego, they make their stand. And what does the king do? King Nebuchadnezzar says, turn the furnace up 7 times hotter. So they stand their ground, and instead of things getting better, things get worse. Isn't that how life goes, right? You make a decision to take a stand in your relationship with God, and then Satan turns the temperature up 7 times hotter. When the pressure is on and the furnace is pumped up, it doesn't seem like things are going your way. Will you have the faith in God's will, even if it's not your own? I want to leave you with, again, Daniel 3 here, close out in verse 24. Verse 24, it says, then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, bound and unharmed. And the 4th looks like a son of the gods. Again, these men had the faith to keep walking. Even though they were going through the fire, they kept walking. They would not be brought to their knees, not when they were standing before the king, and not even when they were in the middle of the fire. Will you keep on walking even if you're going through the fire? Right? Will you have the faith that says, hey, even if I'm surrounded by flames, I will not give up. I will not give in. And I certainly won't bow down. Obviously, man, a fourth person in the flames to walk with them, increase their faith even more. I'm sure. So, brothers, I hope this has been encouraging for you. Taking a look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and their faith, even if everyone else is bowing down, even if God's will wasn't their will, that they would stand firm and keep moving forward. Thanks so much for having me on to join you guys today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jacob. We'll follow up here just a bit. I love that, man. Those three characters, just such a strong move of faith on their part, jumping in the fire regardless. It's inspiring and terrifying at the same time. I mean, I just think about, like, I love fire, right? And so, I'm around it frequently. I love bonfires. We've had bonfires before as a church. And I cannot imagine jumping into the flames like that and going, yeah, no problem. God's got me. Like, the level of faith that it takes to get there. And I think that's one of my questions that I have for you is, that's a bold move. Like, that is some great faith. But I think a lot of us feel like, man, I've been sitting in quarantine, or it's been tough this year for 100 different reasons. How do I even get on the path to getting to that type of faith? Jacob, what are some things that you would suggest going, okay, how do I build on the little faith, or maybe feeling like the no faith that I have right now, to get to a point where I'm Mr. Man of Flames, so to speak?
Nice. I like it. Good question. I love, what's the name of that movie? I think it's We Bought a Zoo. I'm not a big fan of the movie, but he's got a point in the movie. He says, man, all you need is 10 seconds or 20 seconds of just insane courage. And I think that's where it starts. It's just saying, hey, okay, you know what? Maybe a lifetime of walking through the flames, I'm not crazy about that. But if I can go into the flames for 10 seconds, I can do that, right? And having that faith that, hey, you know what? Let me just step out. Let me just be boldly courageous just for this moment. And so I think 10 seconds of insane courage, man.
Awesome. Love it. Great answer. Danny asks, what keeps you faithful and inspired in those even if moments?
That's a great question. I think for me, when I think of, okay, even if moments, what even if moments are in my life? Okay, hey, even if my daughter's throwing a fit, I'm going to decide, hey, I'm going to handle this the right way. I'm going to be godly about it and not lose my religion for a minute here. But what helps me, man, it's remembering the love that's been poured into me. It's remembering the patience that other people have had for me. And so I think, man, that's what builds my faith, is when I see it from other people poured into my life. Man, that gives me faith and gives me courage that, hey, I can do things the right way, that I can move forward in a godly way, and not leave things in God's hands and not just keep taking things into my own hands. And I think for us, again, stepping out, moving to Baton Rouge, again, it wasn't this wasn't our plan for our lives the past couple of years. But again, faith to say, hey, even if, and I know a lot of you guys there in Corpus have stepped out on faith to make big moves and to go out there. And so for me, it is being willing to do what God is calling me to do. And I think that faith that says, hey, you know what? Even if this isn't that's what came to mind for me. Even if this isn't my will for my life, hey, if this is God's will, I'm going to do it regardless.
Come on. That's awesome. Eugene, I think you had a question.
Yeah, man. I just want to say I appreciate, you coming online and doing this great lesson for us, man. It's funny you talked about 10 seconds of extreme courage, because honestly, Mark Mancini did a lesson on that, and that's what got me down here in Corpus, is just stepping out on that faith and making that transition to go somewhere that's a bit scary. One of the things I was thinking about was when our transition to come down here, one of the things that we did is we made a lot of excuses. We tried to make a lot of excuses to say, well, let's not do this after we said we were. So I was going to ask, like, what are some of those things, I guess, for you? Because I know you've been, your family are heroes in the faith. You guys, your brother and your sisters, you guys are heroes in the faith. What are some of the things like we can do as men to get past those excuses and step out on that faith and do those scary things that God wants us to do?
Yeah, how do we move past the excuses? That's a great question. It's funny. It's kind of the same answer comes back to mind is, and seeing the example from other people. That's what helps me push back the excuses. I think for me, man, seeing the example, from some of you guys, again, stepping out on faith and moving to another place, that helps me realize, all right, I don't have any excuses. I think even the story here, seeing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, like, hey, we're willing to die for our faith. Jacob, you're not willing to move, right? You're not willing to have a little bit of discomfort in your life, and then obviously Jesus, man. You look at Jesus and his sacrifice. That's what is really amazing to me, is that, man, Jesus removes all excuses that we may have.
Absolutely. Lee asked actually the same question I wanted to ask. What are you most excited about in moving to Baton Rouge? What are you stoked about, man?
The food, man. That's the number one thing. The food. So we're obviously excited to be with the brothers and sisters there. Really can't wait to dig in and start building those relationships. And there's only a few of the families there that we've connected with so far, and so definitely looking forward to connecting with the families there. But you can't connect with people without some food. So looking forward to we're coming like right in crawfish season. So this is like prime time to move to Baton Rouge. So looking forward to some crawfish boils and maybe tailgating at some LSU games. I am becoming an LSU fan, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. No, I love it. The food and connecting and having a great time with people. That the crawfish sounds amazing. We'll have to come over and visit you during the right season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, that sounds like a blast. Well, Jacob, thanks so much for jumping on today. Man, I just feel like, I've had a tough week personally myself. A bunch of random stuff came up, and just helping a friend with some difficult things, and it was a crazy week. So I think the lesson on faith, standing firm in the even ifs, and man, all of that has really been inspiring and helpful for me today, and I'm sure it has been for the rest of the guys as well. So thank you so very much for joining us today, and best of wishes on your trip to Baton Rouge and leading the church out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. And we definitely, please continue to pray for us. We're praying for you guys and everything going on there in Corpus. And again, I'm glad to be able to join you guys.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thanks again. All right, guys. Well, that is our Church for Men for today. If the lesson hits you today and you're feeling like, man, you know what? I need to invest. I need to get involved. Then please reach out. We would love to sit down and talk, pray, study the Bible, whatever you need. Let us help you along this crazy journey. Being a Christian and a man today is it's a different thing than it used to be 20 and 30 years ago. And we've got to bond together, stick together, and have an incredible time as we do it. So we have an incredible church, and we're loving and love doing food. We had this awesome time last Sunday at a birthday party. It was a blast. So it is a ton of fun, and I just want to personally invite you to come on out, hang out with us, spend some good time, and we'll definitely have some coffee and some barbecue along the way. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll check you out next time.